Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Council of the Town of Oakville. And I'd invite everybody to join Council in the singing of O Canada. Thank you. Please be seated. I will now lead us in our opening prayer, and on a moment of silent reflection, we'll follow that, as well as a few words on this special occasion. God, grant us understanding and patience, that justice, truth, and honesty may be evident in our decisions. Make us mindful of the needs of the people throughout the town of Oakville. Help us govern with the wider community in mind, and so create in us a desire for progress and responsible action. We ask this in your name. Amen. Now, sadly, and in recognition of the passing of our colleague and former member of council, Fred W. Oliver, the flags at town facilities are being flown at half-staff until Thursday. Fred passed away on Saturday, February 5th, at the Oakville Trafalgar Memorial Hospital in his 88th year. Fred had been a member of this council and regional council for 24 years and was first elected in 1980. He concluded his service last year in 2010. He had relocated to the municipality of Havelock from 1994 to 2000, but Oakville called to him, and he came back to town and to council. Fred's dedication to this community took many forms over the years. In 1948, he was appointed the police chief of Trafalgar Township. In 1954, he founded TWARF, the Town of Oakville Water Air Rescue Force, and has been an active supporter and participant with the force ever since, even serving as its commander for 16 years. In 1962, he became chief of police of Oakville, following the amalgamation of Trafalgar Township and the Town of Oakville. His interest in policing led to further involvement in that field as the president of the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police and on several committees of the International Police Chiefs Association. In addition, after retiring from the force, he served on the Police Services Board itself for more than 6 years. His interest in the community extended beyond policing, with service to numerous community groups and associations, including membership in the Oakville Lions Club for 55 years, service on the Board of Governors of the Royal Canadian Golf Association, as president of the Oakville Golf Club. He served as general chairman of the Canadian Open, and he volunteered there for 17 years. He served on the board of the Sheridan College. He served on the board of the Oakville Trafalgar Memorial Hospital, and he served as the president of the Oakville Senior A Hockey Club. Fred also enjoyed the companionship of two wonderful women during his lifetime. His first wife, Kate, whom he married in 1945 and who passed away in 1986, and Irma, whom he married in 1994. Fred and Kate had 4 children, Tom, Jill, Judy, and Jackie. And upon his marriage to Irma, Fred happily welcomed Irma's 4 children, Steve, Judy, Joanne, and Irma, into the family. He leaves as well 12 grandchildren and 10 great-grandchildren, and our thoughts and our condolences are with his family at this time. I'd invite everybody to join council in a moment of silent reflection and memory of our dear friend, Councillor Fred. Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk, would you announce our regrets for this meeting?
Our regrets this evening are Councillors Johnston and Elgar.
Thank you. Council, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest on tonight's agenda? Thank you. You have before you this evening the minutes of the previous council meetings and the Budget Committee. Councillor Khan. Councillor Khan moves adoption of the minutes of the council meetings only. My bad. I'd like a seconder. Councillor Knoll, thank you. All in favor? Those minutes are adopted. We have no public presentations, but we do have delegations, and I'd like to welcome first Mr. Wayne Hussey. I understand that in addition to whatever information you have for us, you may have something even more delightful.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I've said I was told I could say a few words. I'd like to bring up one of our board members, Kathy Brazil, who's our treasurer, because it is a delightful moment for us to be here. Usually we're here asking for something from you, and tonight we want to give you something. So usually I'm here, in a crowded audience, wondering how you're all going to react to the inquiries we have about how you can help us have a better gymnastics club or do something for sport in Oakville. So, but I do want to just mention a few things. We had some visions back when, maybe about 12, 13 years ago, when I started at the gymnastics club, and we were approached by Bob Perkins, and it's kind of odd that you're talking about Councillor Oliver now, because Bob Perkins passed away while he was serving the town as the Parks and Rec Director, and he came to us and wanted to inquire about a partnership, and I think he did it with a few sports, and we were one of them. And I'm sure with the support of the councillors and the community, he entered into many discussions with us that I think took peaks and valleys, but eventually it all started to come together. And so 5 years ago, we did open a new facility. And along with that, there were a lot of negotiations about how we were going to pay for that, and we thought we had a pretty good business plan that we presented. And we were very fortunate that within year one, we probably reached our year 3 or 4 goal with our business plan. So that's what's led us here today, in the sense that we've taken our numbers from about 800 kids, and we said we were jammed, and we said we needed more space, and we've taken it up to 1,700 kids that come in a week in each session. So that's generated for our business from a yearly business of about $500,000 to $600,000 a year to about $1.5 million now. So we are here tonight to repay back some money to the town early. We have 16 years left on our debt, and we want to reduce it to 9 by presenting you with a $500,000 check tonight, and we'd like to do that with the mayor. As well, I see in the audience Ray Green is here, and he was very influential in this agreement, so I'd like to acknowledge Ray and all his support, because as you know, it takes a lot to maneuver things through town, and especially when you're just hardworking athletic directors or sports administrators. Sometimes we don't always know the ins and outs, so we need to rely on people like Ray. Also Dominic Lunardo, there he is, he changed chairs on me. Again, he he introduced me tonight to one of the counselors as his first headache when he took the job, and I kind of appreciate that, because it means I was doing my job quite well then, I think, at the time, and also Nina for her support in Parks and Rec. So we've had a lot of support from the staff at the town. We've had a lot of support from the mayor down through the councilors over the years, and we're just here to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We really believe in cooperation. We really believe on trying to create programs that do not put a drain on the town or the constituents of the town. We think we can come up with some pretty good business plans, work in partnership with other sports, and we have some other ideas that you might be hearing about us in the near future, because we're always pretty aggressive, and I'm a little too young to retire. So yeah, I probably have one more request from you over the next few years, but again, thank you for all the support to date.
Can you just come on that side so it's from one side to the other side? Like, and then you can, yeah. Yeah. Can you just tilt it towards me the other way? And gotta smile. Thank you.
Thanks. Wayne, you can come anytime, especially when you bring money. And that's quite a lot. On behalf of council, I'd like to thank you for the partnership that you forged with the town. I'd like to say that it was and is an outstanding example of the kind of positive synergy that we can create with our many voluntary user groups in our town. And you are now only one of several, and I'm looking forward to many more. So bring your next idea. Your track record is well proven now. All right, Madam Clerk, I think we have another delegation, Rachel Irvine.
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. Rachel Irvine, Chair of the Association of Oakville Harbor Stakeholders, regarding the Oakville Harbor's Financial Strategic Business Plan, which was item 4 of the Community Services Committee meeting of January 25th.
Welcome, Ms. Irvine. Council looks forward to your information.
Thank you very much. We are speaking, of course, to item 4 of the Community Services Committee meetings, Resolution 1 and 2. Firstly, we congratulate town staff on the completion of their Financial Strategic Business Plan report following the original request to Hempson Consulting for a study in 2007. And we acknowledge the considerable time and energy put forth in this respect. We compliment staff for the transparent and cooperative opportunities provided for public and group engagement in developing their final report. Our entire team have appreciated the opportunity to be a part of this process. As we have noted to staff and council throughout this process, AOHS believes that the completion of the sediment management plan and the feasibility and capacity study will assist greatly in developing a more equitable and sustainable strategic business plan in the long term. Both of these studies are presently part of the 2011 budget process, and AOHS looks forward to providing supporting information through budget's public delegation process. Since our inception almost 1 year ago, our mission has been to represent all Harbor's beneficiaries in an effort to provide educated, informed input to town staff as it relates to the sustainability of the harbors, one of our most valuable assets. Secondly, regarding option B, Table 14, as previously stated, we will not comment on club leases. We thank town staff, for using the information on mooring rates as supplied by AOHS. The study we carried out rated the services of each harbor on a score of 1 to 5. We acknowledge Bronte Harbor scored with a 3, with the rates being set in line with similar facilities. We do, however, wish to point out that there is still work to be done in Oakville Harbor, which scored a 1. This could be addressed by the inclusion of improved additional services in order to justify a common mooring rate for both harbors. As to the costs of sediment removal, we are happy to note the recommendation to hold the current rates. In order to ensure we manage siltation, it is essential that the sources of siltation fund the removal of the silt in each 10 or 7-year cycle. This principle of linking the users of a service with the cost those services create is seen throughout the town's fee schedules. We encourage and support town staff as they establish these criteria within all levels of governance, municipal, regional, provincial, and federal, that share these watersheds. Only through the establishment of this linkage, between the creators of silt with the costs of removal can we hope to attain a financial model that is sustainable and fair in the long term. Finally, I am pleased to affirm our support for motions 1 and 2, bearing in mind the detail as already stated. We very much look forward to a continuing productive dialogue with the town at their pleasure as these initiatives move forward. Before I say thank you and return to my seat, I would like to apologize, Your Worship and Council, for not addressing you. Also, staff, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your information. You made no fault, and we were very pleased to hear from you. I gather there's no questions. We'll not disturb her then. All right, Council, that brings you to your standing committee reports. Committee of the Whole, January 21st, the February 3rd Budget Committee and the Community Services and Administrative Services Committee meetings of January 25th. Councillor Grant. Seconded by Councillor Knoll. Moves adoption of all the committee reports. Discussion, separations, all in favor? That carries. We have no committee of the whole items. Unless you want to, I don't think we need to do that. We have the heads and beds payment motion that was notice of which was given at the last council meeting 2 weeks ago by Councillor Bird and Councillor Giddings. And Councillor Bird, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, sir. And thank you very much. This issue has been before some of us on council for a great number of years. It seems to come up yearly, primarily during budget discussions or any discussions with regards to downloading, fairness, cooperation, partnerships between ourselves and the other orders of government. This is one thing that's been one issue that's been a constant irritant, as you know, that the province does not pay normal market value assessment for facilities they have in the municipality. They came up with a formula a number of years ago. We used to call it the acronym of PIL money, because that, I guess, it was payment in lieu of taxes, but it seemed to be appropriate when we were talking about hospitals. But it has exactly to do with hospitals and universities and their facilities and places in this municipality like CELAPS. And it's called, we can call it now kind of heads and beds, how it's calculated. And back in 1987, for whatever reason, the province came up with a formula of they would contribute to municipalities that would fall into that category of $75 per year per head in bed or student or person that are incarcerated in any of the correctional institutions. Well, each year, that has remained static. And every 4 or 5 years, other municipalities know this inequity and have pressed the government to at least bring the $75 up to the rate of inflation. We're not asking it in this motion to go back and reconsider and pay your full tax assessment for the value of provincial properties. All we're doing is asking them to index in some format or even discuss the changing the $75 per up to the current rate. We can all do the calculations in our own mind based on what this would mean to municipalities. It varies, but it is in the millions. But in fairness, we asked the province again, and I noticed this coming through from Kingston. We have a new council here. The issue remains the same, and I hope that the new council it takes the same position in asking the province to do it as the previous one. So that's why it's here, and I hope it would be supported unanimously.
Councillor Giddings, did you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, obviously I concur with what Councillor Bird has said. If you look at inflation, that represents about a 68% increase. We know that the province has their own pressures and deficits, and through uploading and downloading, there have been a number of services that have come our way, and I think it's at this point that we have to take it to the AMO and speak with the other communities in terms of trying to get this updated to give us a true factor in terms of the money that should be coming in. And so I wholeheartedly endorse the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Giddings. Any other councillors like to have a piece of this? Well, congratulations to the mover and seconder. I know that it's been a while since we did this. The last record I can find is 2005 and 2004. Doing it constantly didn't work. Leaving off and not doing it didn't work. We might as well resume asking for it. With that, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That does carry unanimously. Thank you, councillors. There are no other discussion items. You have your information items. You have your status of outstanding issues. I'm not aware of any new business. Are there any councillors desirous of making regional reports or offering questions regarding town boards and advisory committees? I have requests for reports, I should say, from the Ward 2 councillors. Councillor Duddick.
Thank you. The request for report is moved by myself and seconded by my colleague, Councillor Demoff, and that is that staff be requested to report back to council by the end of April with options for council's consideration to mitigate excessive motorcycle noise in Oakville. We've had a considerable amount of our constituents raise this on a constant basis regarding the fact that they think, given the fact we have a noise bylaw, why in fact are we not addressing the motorcycle noise that prohibits them from being able to carry on a conversation. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duddick. The report is requested. All those in favor? Sorry, Councillor Robinson?
For me, I'd just like to speak in support of that, because for the past several months have been working closely with Phil Bouillon. The municipality of Orangeville has tried to implement this already, and Phil said he was going to wait until he saw what happened legislatively and that we might follow suit. And I think it's very appropriate that these two councillors in our adjacent ward who's having the same problem have brought this forward. Thank you.
Well, you've attracted extra support there, Councillor Duddick and Councillor Demoff. Any others? All in favor of the request for report? Your request is granted. Council has granted your request. Councillor Duddick, your second request.
Councillor Demoff is going to move it.
Councillor Demoff. Oh, I'm sorry.
Our second request is that staff be requested to conduct a neighborhood traffic study for the Dorval and Rebecca Street intersection and the West Harbour neighborhood, being Burnett, Wilson, Chisholm, and Forsyth Streets, and report back to council with options related to safety, congestion, and traffic flow.
Any other councillors like to, Councillor Robinson? Any other forms of support? All those in favor of the request? Opposed, if any. That, too, is granted by council. Congratulations, councilors. We now need a mover and seconder for consideration and reading of the bylaws. Councillor Duddick and Councillor Robinson, thank you. This is for bylaws 2011-10, which is a bylaw to authorize the temporary borrowing of money to meet current expenditures should the need arise until taxes are collected for the taxation year. That's in the ASC report at item 3. And bylaw 2011-26, which is the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of a meeting of council. It's moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed, if any. They are adopted. Thank you for your time and attention. That ends the agenda, and we are adjourned.